everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I do have a Chille video for you, and basically it's Chille yelling into his camera as usual, proving he doesn't know the difference between a bill and a law. I mean, we all know that he's not a real constitutional law scholar. We all know that he hasn't been studying constitutional law for 20 years. Basically, he's been trying to read it for 20 years and probably hasn't gotten past the first chapter. How do we know this? He proves it every time he opens his mouth. He doesn't understand what a law is. He doesn't understand what a bill is. And you can tell by the way he talks about these things that he doesn't understand what he's saying. But he will jumble up what he's saying so that his supporters think he knows what's coming out of his mouth. They think he's telling the truth. But what he's doing is he's just manipulating them by repeating the same words over and over and over again without actually saying what he means. And basically what he means is, I really don't understand this and I don't comprehend anything I've read, but I still need your support, so I'm going to make you think I know what I'm talking about. And that's what Chille does. And I'm about to prove it to you. Hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so here we have Chille still in Las Vegas, Nevada, because he can't leave until his court date this month in June. So he's just trying to do as much damage as he possibly can while he's there. You know, to embarrass himself more and more every day that he walks outside of, I'm not sure what he's living in right now. Is it that rundown office building or is it a storage shed? A storage facility. I'm not sure. I mean, there's two different things going around, and I don't know if he's changed his location or not, but yeah. He doesn't live in Las Vegas. He's just stuck there until court. So he's going to do what he wants to do and just create as much chaos as possible. And in this video, he proves he doesn't know the difference between a bill and a law.
And I want to talk a little bit about the 2020 Badge Transparency Act. So whether you're watching this next week, next month, next year, you're going to learn something today that you didn't know yesterday. So hit the like button just real fast if you...
Actually, most of us watching this right now have a way higher IQ than Chille does. And let's try and remember that his IQ is in the single digits. What you're about to learn from Chille is something you already knew yesterday. It's nothing new. If anybody knows anything about the Transparency Badge Act of 2020, you know that it's not a law. It was a bill that was presented and never passed. But you're about to learn here that Chille thinks it was passed, that just because the bill was put in, that means it automatically becomes a law. He doesn't understand that it has to be voted, not only in the House, but in the Senate. He doesn't get that. Again, he thinks as long as the bill is written up and put in, it automatically passes as a law. And that's not the case, Chille. Sorry. So basically, Chille's going to learn something today that he's never known.
Would hit the like button and then drop down in the comment section where you're watching from. No, that's your problem, dude. Yo, so sorry about that. Just needed a second. So
Okay, I have no clue what that was about. That was all him. So obviously something happened. Probably somebody was trying to educate him and he cut it completely out. Who knows? We'll never know because Chille likes to keep the truth away from everybody, especially his followers. So I don't know what happened there. Big cut. Something happened. Somebody was yelling. Whatever. Let's move on.
I want to kind of give you guys a rundown of what has happened here at this federal building. If you're unaware with what I do, I'm a civil rights activist, and specifically, I stress test our rights. That's what I do. I will put my...
Actually, Chille, we know what you do. You're not a civil rights activist. You're not a constitutional law scholar. You are a butthurt man-child who cannot stand the fact that the law enforcement organization would not allow you to join them for whatever reason, and that you got caught with doing many of your crimes that you have done in the past 30 years, and that most of those crimes you were made accountable for. So that's why you do what you do. You're not stress testing our rights. You could give two shits about our rights. You only care about the First Amendment when it involves yourself. You could care two shits about my First Amendment or anybody else's First Amendment. You only care about it when it involves you, and that's it. That's pretty much the same with all frauditors. What you do is you go out and you hide behind the Constitution so that you feel like it's okay to harass and abuse and bully not only federal government or government employees, but civilians as well. So that's basically what Chille does in a nutshell. He hides behind the Constitution so that he can harass and abuse and bully government employees and civilians. Basically all of society. So, yeah, we all know what you do, Chille, and it's not even close to what you say.
Self in a vicarious position to stress test our rights and make sure that the copper is not going to wrongfully touch me, arrest me, wrongfully convict me, wrongfully arrest me, not convict me, wrongfully charge me. You know, that's what I do. I put myself in harm's way often because it's absolutely imperative that we all stress test our rights.
Okay, he could barely get any of that out because even he doesn't know what he's doing. But when did you put yourself in harm's way for anything? Seriously, Chille, when was the last time you put yourself in harm's way? I'm going to go with never. You have never put yourself in harm's way to do anything. Did you sign up for the military? Did you go to war? Did you do anything for this country other than travel back and forth from the West Coast to the East Coast, from the North to the South, and do nothing but whine and cry and throw little man-child fits? Because that right there is not putting yourself in harm's way.
So when you do that, you have HR 7711. And HR 7711 clearly says the Badge Transparency Act. So if you go back and you research HR 7711, I want to be clear on and the reason why it exists. So in 2020, right after George Floyd was murdered in the streets of Minneapolis, and we got to see the actual recording, what happened was in New York, so many people were being attacked by federal agents. So in the there's so many parts to this, but I want people to understand what has transpired here and the reason why I'll be bringing a lawsuit against the U.S. Marshals here and the reason why I'll be suing them. So I want to explain to you the reason why I'm going to file against the U.S. Marshals here in Las Vegas. So in 2020, after George Floyd was murdered in the streets of Minneapolis, what happened was, because the 1994 crime bill, there's a specific part of the 1994 crime bill called Operation Relentless Pursuit. Operation Relentless Pursuit is when the federal government can decide, they can just decide that there's exigent circumstances in a particular state, and in this state it was New York after the George Floyd murder, and so they invoked the exigent circumstances clause, and then what that triggered was the 1994 crime bill's Operation Relentless Pursuit.
Okay, it is very, very, very important to listen to what Chille is saying here, because he's about to outright lie twice, which isn't a surprise, of course, but still, they're pretty big lies.
So now that's what happened. So then in 2020, using the 1994 crime bill, what they did was they then invoked Operation Relentless Pursuit in the state of New York. Now, what exactly does that mean? That means
I can tell you that Operation Relentless Pursuit was not launched in the state of New York. Okay, so before I literally blow up everything Chille says here in the next minute and a half, I want you to hear what he says again.
2020, right after George Floyd was murdered in the streets of Minneapolis, and we got to see the actual recording. What happened was, in New York, so many people were being attacked by federal agents. So in the there's so many parts to this, but I want people to understand what has transpired here and the reason why I'll be bringing a lawsuit against the U.S. Marshals here and the reason why I'll be suing them. So I want to explain to you the reason why I'm going to file against the U.S. Marshals here in Las Vegas. So in 2020, after George Floyd was murdered in the streets of Minneapolis, what happened was, because of the 1994 crime bill, there's a specific part of the 1994 crime bill called Operation Relentless Pursuit. Operation Relentless Pursuit is when the federal government can decide, they can just decide that there's exigent circumstances in a particular state, and in this state it was New York after the George Floyd murder, and so they invoked the exigent circumstances clause, and then what that triggered was the 1994 crime bill's Operation Relentless Pursuit. So what is Operation Relentless Pursuit is what you would start to question. So Operation Relentless Pursuit is when they can take every single three-letter CIA, FBI, ATF, ICE, they can take any three-letter super secret federal agency and they can inundate a state, which is what they did in the state of New York in 2020, right after George Floyd was murdered by an obvious pig. So,
okay, let's look at this. Okay, so initially what Chille is saying here is that Operation Relentless Pursuit was launched after George Floyd's death in the state of New York. Keep in mind that George Floyd died May 25th of 2020. Okay, remember that date. George Floyd died May 25th of 2020. Okay, so now we have this, which was announced on Monday, May 11th of 2020. Today, the Justice Department announced that the Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services and the Office of Justice Programs Bureau of Justice Assistance have awarded more than $61 million in grant funding to support the Attorney General's Operation Relentless Pursuit initiative. Launched on December 18th, 2019, ORP, or Orientation of Relentless Pursuit, aims to intensify federal law enforcement resources into 7 American cities with violent crime levels several times the national average. These several cities were Albuquerque, Baltimore, Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City, Memphis, and Milwaukee. The last time I checked, none of those cities are within the state of New York. The last time I also checked was that the year of 2019 came before the year 2020. Another thing that is important to note is that May 11th is actually 14 days, 14 days before May 25th. So where Chille is saying Operation Relentless Pursuit was launched after George Floyd's death in the state of New York, I'm trying to figure out where he gets this information. I have looked it up many different ways, and I'm finding zero information on that. What I am finding is information on Operation Relentless Pursuit that was financed on December 18th of 2019 for 7 specific cities. Again, Chille does not know what he is talking about. I'm not sure where he came up with this information. My guess is he read something online, did not understand it, so then he just kind of twisted and turned words around because he knows no matter what, his cultists are going to believe everything that comes out of his mouth anyway. Okay, so let's continue to hear what Chille does not understand.
So now that's what happened. So then in 2020, using the 1994 crime bill, what they did was they then invoked Operation Relentless Pursuit in the state of New York. Now, what exactly does that mean? That means that the state of New York was inundated with dozens and dozens of FBI, CIA, ICE, ATF, any 3-letter agency that you can name, and some that you've never heard of. So what happened? What was the...
I don't know who you are if you've never heard of the CIA, FBI, ICE, ATF, any of those, really. I mean, even young children have heard of all of these agencies. The way Chille's talking, there's like several more that nobody other than in his mind has heard of these specific 3-lettered agencies. It just blows my mind, the things that come out of his mouth.
Result of Operation Relentless Pursuit in New York right after George Floyd was murdered and there were protests going on in the streets. Let me tell you what happened. Using Operation Relentless Pursuit, federal agents similar to U.S. Marshals, what they did was they ascended upon the streets of New York, and then what these federal agents did, FBI, CIA, ATF, ICE, ATF, what they did is they started to beat, abuse, literally kill protesters in the streets. They slammed one girl's head to the ground so bad she had to go into a coma for a long period of time. And so what the result of that...
Okay, and so again, Chille is saying that this whole Operation Relentless Pursuit was launched in the state of New York after George Floyd's death. It wasn't launched in New York after George Floyd's death. However, officers were sent out to control protests in New York City. Chille then mentions that a federal agent took a woman's head and bashed it into the ground to the point where she was forced into a coma, which is, again, a big lie. There were 2 incidences during the George Floyd protests that involved a New York Police Department officer, not a federal agent. The first one was an NYPD officer caught on camera pushing a woman to the ground during a protest over the death of George Floyd, was charged with assault and other offenses on Tuesday. Officer Vincent D'Andrea, who surrendered directly to court for arraignment, was caught on video shoving Donya Zaire near the Barclays Center on May 29th. Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez announced the criminal complaint charging D'Andrea with assault, criminal mischief, harassment, and menacing. According to the investigation, the 28-year-old D'Andrea was walking with the contingent of police officers assigned to monitor a large crowd of demonstrators protesting racial injustice. Zaire, 20, was in the street when the officer told her to move. She asked why. He allegedly smacked her cell phone out of her hand and violently shoved her to the ground. She can be seen rolling on the street and into a curb. Meanwhile, D'Andrea and fellow officers can be seen walking away. According to the criminal complaint, D'Andrea called the victim a stupid, explosive before the incident. Zaire suffered head and back pain, a seizure, and a concussion, and was hospitalized. Okay, and then we have this one. Police watchdogs say a New York PD inspector violated department policy during a 2020 Black Lives Matter protest outside the Barclays Center in Brooklyn by stomping on a man's head and shoulder while he lay on the ground in the fetal position. But at an administrative trial Wednesday, the officer's defense attorney argued that his client used a reasonable amount of force to subdue someone resisting arrest. I don't care what anybody says. That is not reasonable amount of force. That's overstepping your boundaries and using excessive force. However, let's continue. The Civilian Complaint Review Board, which investigates claims of officer misconduct, reviewed the incident and has charged Inspector James Palumbo with excessive force. The agency has asked the police department, to fire their inspector. Let me see if I can. Okay, so, here it is. A 15-second video published by the New York Times shows Brian Bays running down 4th Avenue in Brooklyn as 3 officers chase after him. Then Bays falls to the ground and curls into a ball on his side. All right, he shouts as the 3 officers begin hitting him repeatedly with their batons. I'm done. Then an officer in a white shirt, since identified as Inspector Palumbo, runs up, puts his right hand on one of the officer's shoulders, lifts his leg up and down twice in the vicinity of Bays' head and shoulder. It's unclear from the video exactly where his foot touches down. The question at issue in the trial is whether the inspector stepped on Bays or if he stomped. During the trial, the inspector testified that he ran over when he heard yelling and saw the officers beating Bays with batons. As a supervisor, he said he wanted to help control the situation and get the man into custody. Palumbo said it looked to him like Bays was trying to get up, so he said he stepped on the man's shoulder to stop him. Then he said he lost his balance and stepped down again. The inspector said his foot hit Bays' shoulder, but not his head. He said that he was also trying to move one of the officers away from Bays. The prosecutors said the inspector stomped on Bays when he wasn't a threat. He can say it any way he wants, Kaplan said. What you see is what you see. At one point, when Kaplan used the word stomp while questioning Palumbo, the attorney stopped mid-sentence to announce for the record that the inspector had rolled his eyes and raised his eyebrows. Palumbo's defense attorney, Louis LaPietra, admitted that he, too, had been rolling his eyes. The judge temporarily stopped the proceedings. The point is, the man was injured after this, but he was not forced into a coma. He was also a man, not a woman. My point of pulling these 2 instances up is where Chille flat out says that federal agents bashed a woman's head into the road to the point where she was forced into a coma, did not happen. So again, Chille is lying, as usual. But let's point this out, is his lies are getting worse. They're getting much worse, to the point where he is, with these lies, he is pretty much demonstrating to his followers that it's okay to create violence on police officers or federal agents because they do it to us. But when he says that it's being done to us, they're lies. Yes, there were incidences where police overstepped their boundaries and used excessive force, but not in the manner that Chille is saying. Okay, so now that we've gotten through that one, or that lie, let's get to the next one.
Right now, look up HR 7711 and put it into the comment section so that people can read it. Now, what happened? So here's what happens. The Badge Transparency Act is a direct reflection of the overreach of the 1994 crime bill's chapter called Operation Relentless Pursuit, where they put dozens and hundreds of federal agents in New York who were then hurting people in the streets of New York City. So they passed HR 7711 called the Badge Transparency Act, stating that any federal officer has to have on his chest his name and his badge number. This is a law. HR.
You heard him, right? He says that the Badge Transparency Act was passed and that it is a law. Okay, so again, Chille is now claiming that HR 7711, the Badge Transparency Act, was passed. Let's see. So it was introduced January 2nd, 2020. July 21st, 2020. It was introduced to the House action by House representatives. And on the same day, it was referred to the House Committee on the Judiciary action by the House of Representatives. On January 2nd of 2021, it became stalled. Okay, this is everything about it. Then we have this one. The HR 7711 Badge Transparency Act of 2020. Introduced on July 21st, 2020. In the committee, July 21st, 2020. Crossed over, passed, dead. It never crossed over, and it never passed. That's why it's in the gray, because it never crossed over and it never passed. This act is not in place, nor is it a law. Chille, the supposed constitutional law scholar of the last 20 years, doesn't know the difference between a bill and a law. Let me explain. Chille, a bill is something that is written up and presented to the House and the Senate. The House and the Senate then need to vote on this bill. Okay? It's not going to become a law until everything has been voted for and everything is in place. If it does not pass, it becomes dead. Well, first it'll stall, and then it'll be dead. It's been dead since December 31st of 2020. Now, they did try and bring it back in 2021, like I just showed you. However, it is now stalled. We're in 2023. Okay, so basically the bottom line is there is no 09 NIT law stating that any sort of law enforcement, including federal agents, have to ID themselves if asked. Now, law enforcement, regular law enforcement, yes, they have to wear name badges. They have to wear their badge numbers. But federal agents such as CIA, FBI, Homeland Security, ICE, U.S. Marshals do not, by law, have to wear a name tag or a badge announcing to everybody who they are. I don't care how many times Chille tries to turn it or twist it or lie about it. There is no law in place that states they have to. There is also no federal law that states that a regular law enforcement officer has to ID themselves just because you ask them to. So you can go and ask any law enforcement officer you want to ID themselves, and they don't have to by law. Now, a lot of police departments have it in policy that they are to ID themselves. But that's usually only when you are involved in the incident. If you are just some crazy, unhinged moron like Chille, who walks up on a police officer and starts yelling ID and badge number, they don't, by law, have to tell you anything. You're not involved with whatever is going on. So, again, Chille is lying to his followers, and the sad part is every one of those idiots is believing what he says because they're too dumb or too lazy to actually do the research and look up what he says. If they were to just fact check one of his videos, they would see how full of shit he really is.
Stating that any federal officer has to have on his chest his name and his badge number. This is a law, HR 7711. That would include U.S. Marshals, FBI, CIA, ICE, every single federal.
Poor Chille. See, he's suing the U.S. Marshals there in Las Vegas because they were not wearing name badges when he went up to file or to do something. And they hurt his feelings because, I don't know why, but they hurt his feelings. Because, anybody that doesn't bow down and kiss his ass is hurting his feelings. Anybody who puts him in his place is hurting his feelings. Anybody that states the truth is hurting his feelings. So, of course, his feelings were hurt. And now he's going to sue them because, according to him, by law, they have to wear name tags. I want to be in that courtroom. I want to be in that courtroom. If it ever goes to court, which we all know it's not going to, it's going to be dismissed because they're going to see what an idiot he is when he's suing them for something that there is no law for. But if it were to go to court, I want to be there because I'm going to laugh like a hyena when they tell him and explain to him, you are suing them for something that you say is a law when it is not a law. And when they prove him wrong, I want to be there to laugh at him. It's not going to go that far. It will be dismissed like every one of his other lawsuits because, my God, he sues everyone but wins none of them. He loses every freaking lawsuit. Just lawsuits that he was putting when he was suing Kate. I mean, come on. How many did she have to win? He sits there and he says, I'm going to keep suing her until I take all her money and her house and her and her children are homeless and blah, 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 blah. Well, she seems to be doing pretty well, actually. She still has a really good job. She still has her home. She has a vehicle. She has lovely children who love her. She's a good mom. She's a decent human being. And then we look at Chille. No home, no car, no job, not much family that gives a shit about him. The only friends he has are ones he has that he usually pays to be his friend. I mean, he has nothing going for him. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So here he wanted to keep suing Kate to ruin her life, yet he's the one who literally has nothing. And when I say nothing, I do mean to add not one win in court. But he's going to take them to court. He's going to file this lawsuit suing them for something that he claims is a law that's not a law. And I wish I could be there when they read this. Because they're all going to laugh about it. And then they're probably going to make copies of this so that they can put it up all over the building. So that if you're having a shitty day, all you have to do is look at this lawsuit that this moron put out on them on something that he doesn't understand, but yet calls himself a 20-year constitutional law scholar.
Agency in the United States of America, when they are working, has to have their name and badge number on their chest, called the Badge Transparency Act 2020. Okay, so now let me bring you up to date. I came here a week ago to go and file a lawsuit. I'm sorry, three weeks ago, to file a lawsuit against the Las Vegas Metro Police Department. When I got here, these jackboot thugs, none of them have names or badge numbers on. So I said to them, excuse me, you are a U.S. Marshal. You have to have your name and badge number on your chest. Here, your name and badge number has to go on your chest. what they did, instead of listening to me and saying, oh, there's an actual law here, and looking up the rule of law, instead, what they did was they followed me around the federal building. It gets worse. And this is a month ago, the very first time I sued Las Vegas Metro Police Department. It gets even worse. So then the second time I came here, they then decided that they would follow me. So I was followed by the U.S. Marshals, and when I asked them their name and badge number, they refused to identify. In violation of H.R. 7711, the 2020 Badge Transparency Act.
Poor Chille. Poor little Chillito. Crying because they wouldn't give him what he begged for. Chille, when you walked in the first time, and you literally told them that they were violating the law and that they didn't bother to learn the law and look it up, is probably because there is no law for them to look up. Because H.R. 7711 is not a law. It is nothing. It's a bill that's been stalled. And actually, if you are just specifically going by H.R. 7711, that bill's dead. They did put out another one for 2021, and it's stalled. But you are specifically going off of H.R. 7711 from 2020. It's dead, Chille. It's not even a bill anymore. It's just useless pieces of paper sitting probably in some box collecting dust because it didn't pass. You have to pass a bill for it to become a law. It's very easy to understand. Here, I'll say it again for you in a way that you will understand it. In order to make a law active, you must pass the bill. If the bill does not get passed, there is no law. I don't know how much more I can dumb it down for you, because if I try to dumb it down to your level, it will seriously hurt me. I love that he is ranting and about to burst a freaking blood vessel in his vein or in his forehead, all because of something that is not true. Like, he is so upset, his face is getting red over something that is not even a law. And it's awesome. I love seeing him get this unhinged, because he truly believes that H.R. 7711 is a freaking law, because he didn't bother to research H.R. 7711. What he did is he looked it up, he saw that it went through the House, and that was it. He didn't bother to research if it was passed or not. He just saw it, he read it, and he said, "Ooh, okay, that's a law." No, Chille. No. And by the way, any real constitutional law scholar would have known, without even having to research it, that H.R. 7711 never passed.
I explained to them that they're in violation of the 2020 Transparency Badge Act. Everybody can look it up. It's online.
So he explained it to them. That's why they were laughing. Now we know. And yes, Chille, everybody can look it up, including you. You might want to try doing it.
Everybody can read it. So I explained to them they're in violation of this, okay? So then when I went in to file Floyd Wallace's lawsuit, acting as a courier for Mr. Wallace,
God.
I went into the clerk's office, and these guys followed me with a half a dozen cops. You know what they said to me? They said to me, "Don't come back to the federal building with those flip-flops on, because you have a bottle opener on the bottom of your flip-flop." I looked at that pig and I said, "Go have a ham sandwich, pig." I didn't use those words. They were a little more aggressive.
Oh my God. Could you be any more childish and immature in one sentence? Where does he come up with this stupid stuff? Go have a ham sandwich, pig. Eat my shorts, copper. Like, what the hell is wrong with him? There is no activity in that head. There may be a brain there, but it is completely dead. It is stalemate. There is no functioning activity in the head. You have a bottle opener on the bottom of your shoe. It can be used as something. I don't know what it is, what it could be used for, but there's a reason why bottle openers are on the list of things you cannot bring into a federal building. I'm sure it's there somewhere. You're just dumb. You're literally sitting there telling them that they are violating a law that is not a law. And yet you want to sit there and claim that they're dumb? You throw a fit saying that they're violating a law that's not a law, and then you tell them to, you call them a pig and tell them to go eat a ham sandwich? I mean, my goodness. Wow.
I said, you can go have a ham sandwich. If you're afraid of that, you're in the wrong business, bro. The pin from your belt buckle is more dangerous than my 1/4-inch piece of metal on the bottom of my flip-flop, which, by the way, I think when I bought them, I knew there was a bottle opener on here, but I don't drink. I don't pop open bottles of beer. That's not what I do. So I had forgotten it was on there.
No, he doesn't drink. He doesn't drink liquor. He likes indulging in chemicals. That's more fun, huh, Chille?
And the guy said, what's up with the bottle opener on your flip-flop? And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I flipped my shoe up and I remembered, oh yeah, that's right. The guy told me there's a bottle opener on the bottom of these for, people who go to the beach and they want to open their bottle. So when I came here, I explained to them.
Okay, everybody. He just picked up his nasty-ass flip-flop with his hand. I want to see how many times he touches his face with that hand. Not only did he touch the bottom of it, which has been all over the ground, in the grass, probably stepped in some animal pee, probably dog poo or something. God knows what else those flip-flops have touched on the ground. And then, of course, the other side where his nasty foot was. I wonder how many times he's going to wipe his mouth with that hand or any part of his face. I'm not saying he does. I don't know. I haven't seen it past this. But, oh my God, if he does, I will be vomiting.
To them, you're in violation of HR 7711. I said, listen to me. I will sue you if you guys violate my rights. Now, instead of them understanding that they had violated my rights, they're in violation of the rule of law, which is all I talk about on this channel. There is a rule of law. I'm sorry, guys. I disagree with a lot of other auditors. I disagree with a lot of other people who are on YouTube talking to you. I do not agree with a volunteerist or an anarchist society. I don't agree with it.
Actually, you do, Chille. You have made it clear many times that laws should go bye-bye. Oh my God, your channel name is Delete Laws. You do believe in anarchy. That is exactly what you want. You want to get rid of politicians. You want to get rid of the government. You want to get rid of police officers. You want to be able to just run amok and do whatever the hell you want. Guess what? That's anarchy, dumbass. And that's exactly what you want. So don't sit here and try and pretend like that's not what you want. Unless, for some reason, Chille doesn't know the definition of anarchist or anarchy, which, trust me, I believe that more than I believe anything else he says. Also, again, he keeps saying that they keep violating this HR 7711. And again, they're not violating jack shit because there is no law with HR 7711. And you're not an auditor, Chille. Stop saying you are. Stop putting yourself in that category, because one minute he says, I'm not an auditor. And then he's like, I'm the best auditor there is. And then he's like, I'm not an auditor. And then he's like, I'm the first auditor that was ever on YouTube. Like, come on, shut up, Chille.
I'm more of a guy that believes what Thomas Hobbes wrote in The Nature of Man, understanding the nature of man, which is that if without the rule of law, men would kill one another, and I believe that. So I believe there has to be a rule of law. The rule of law is what? The Constitution. That is the basis of the rule of law. So.
Great. So read it and learn it, Chille. because you have no understanding of the Constitution.
When these guys decided that they were not going to put a badge on and put their badge number on, that would have been one thing. But here's what happened last time I was here. When I came here the last time to file Mr. Wallace's federal civil rights lawsuit against the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, when I got here, they demanded they see my ID, which I said is a violation of my Fourth Amendment, and then they had me go through their metal detector. And then when I explained to them I'm here to file a lawsuit, and I said, where's your badge number? I went up to the marshal's office to complain that there was no badge number and no identifying name on the jacket of the person. And they said to me, get out of the building. We're going to escort you out.
Good.
And I said, you are not going to escort me out of this building. I'm working in capacity of the court right now as a courier. You are not going to walk me out of this building. That's not going to happen.
You're not a court courier, stupid. So, oh my God. Wow. So, first of all, having to ID when you walk into a federal building is not a violation of your Fourth Amendment. And I'm so tired of hearing them say that. It's not. It's not at all. You do need to show ID. They need to know who comes in and out of that building, because they don't know the kind of whack jobs that are going to enter the building and possibly do, I don't know, another Oklahoma bombing, another 9/11. I mean, there's a whole list of things that could happen, and that's why they keep track of who comes in and out of these buildings. It is not a violation of your Fourth Amendment. But then again, we all know, like I just said, Chille doesn't understand the Constitution. I don't think he's even really read the Constitution, to be honest. I think he skimmed through a little bit of it, and that was about it. Or it has literally been taking him 20 plus years to learn how to read the Constitution, which I've actually side more on that. And you're not a court courier. Shut up, Chille. The only reason why Floyd had you go is because every cop and marshal and everybody else in law enforcement knows who he is. And he's afraid to go anywhere near them because he knows he'll be arrested for something he's done.
And so then the marshal, who goes by the name of Seth, that's all I know about him, he said, okay, you're right. I'm going to take you down. I'm going to take you down to the clerk's office where you can get your filing done. So I take Mr. Wallace's lawsuit down there, which is already being filed. I go back down to where they're...
Can we just bring up the fact that this is not recorded, by the way? The fact that supposedly this U.S. Marshal tells him he's going to escort him, and then Chille says, no, you're not, I'm a court carrier. And then he says, okay, yeah, no, I'm not. I'll take you wherever you want to go. Not recorded. Anything that is not recorded that Chille says happened did not happen. I think we all know that by now, though.
Filling out the paperwork to file Mr. Wallace's lawsuit. And then when I'm down in the waiting room, these guys tell me that they're going to trespass me from the federal building.
Good.
I said, you're not trespassing me from the federal building. You don't have a right to trespass me. And that's when the guy said, oh, what about the bottle opener on your shoe? And I told him to go fly a kite. So then I ended up being surrounded by a half a dozen marshals. The woman who was filing Floyd Wallace's lawsuit, she got flustered because there was a half a dozen pigs standing over the top of her. And so she didn't stamp it, and she didn't get the money for it. 2 things in a row. So first I looked at the paperwork to make sure it was filed properly. It was not filed properly.
So in other words, the lawsuit was never filed. How is that not surprising? Number one, they do have the right to trespass you from a federal building and a government building and a private building, and any public building has the right to trespass your ass. Period. They don't even have to give you an actual reason. Okay? But you, on the other hand, was causing a disturbance. Don't say you weren't. We all know you were. We know how you operate. Not intelligently. And they have the right to trespass you. You're damn right they do. And I'm sure they did. That's why you're cowering outside the front door, pretty far away from the door, because you know if you go anywhere near those doors, they're going to come out. And I seriously doubt she was flustered because all of these police officers were around her. She's used to seeing them every single day. What happened more than likely was he was being trespassed and was told, you are not getting service. Now, let me bring that up because, you know, frauditors love to say, you can't deny me service. The hell they can't. Any public building, any public place can deny you service for anything other than discrimination. And no, Chille, they were not racially profiling you. So you can't play that ball. And you couldn't play that ball the first time you played it, but you can't play it here either. They can trespass you for any reason other than discrimination. They can refuse service for any reason other than discrimination. Again, Mr. Unconstitutional Law Scholar. Learn your shit, then talk.
I said, there's no stamp on this. And then the clerk said, let me get you the stamp for it. So then she stamped it, and then I left. However, during that time period, she forgot to take my debit card and run the fee for the $402 to file the lawsuit. So I got an email from the clerk saying, hey, you didn't pay for this. So I was like, oh my God. So then I tried to make it down here yesterday. I couldn't make it. So this morning was the first time I could come down. And so when I come down here to file my lawsuit, I walk through the doors and the U.S. Marshals then decide to follow me.
Good.
They followed me. And just for the U.S. Marshal who followed me today, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, you know, at least... because there are good people in everything, but in policing, there's just lots and lots of bad. So, but the guy who...
No, Chille, again, you're so off. It's not even funny. So, basically, he thought he was going to get away with having to pay the filing fee. Yeah. And then he probably told everybody that, and then, well, I mean... didn't he beg for money for that filing fee? If he didn't use it for the filing fee, people are going to expect their money back. So he had to come down and do it at some point. So now he says he's paying it when he's dropping off his lawsuit for himself to file the U.S. Marshals. So now the question is, did you purposely leave without paying Floyd's filing fee that you begged for on your live stream, or are you just paying for your lawsuit against the U.S. Marshals, and somehow you and Floyd came up with, what, over $400 in your pocket? Knowing you, you're a liar, you're a fraud, you're a cheat. Yeah. I mean, unless you were planning on paying over $800 in this one day to be able to pay for your lawsuit and Floyd's. But notice how he doesn't say that.
Who was assigned to follow me today. I mean, he was literally assigned. I called my attorney on the phone. I said, hey, listen, I want to stay on the phone in case these guys decide to arrest me for no reason. And so I came back down here to pay for Mr. Wallace's lawsuit, and they decided to follow me around the federal building, of which I protested. I protested and I protested. And I said, listen, guys, I'm here to file a lawsuit. I don't want to be followed around by cops when I come to file a lawsuit here. And they just decided they were going to follow me around. And I said, great.
They're allowed to follow you around. They already know that you're a troublemaker. They already know that you're a pathological liar. And they know that you are severely unhinged. They have every right to follow your ass around within that building and around the compounds of the building. So you can sit there and whine and cry like a 2-year-old baby over being followed while you're in there, but it was your own fault as to why you're being followed. So you have nobody to blame but yourself.
Then I'm going to go back to the marshal's office and file another complaint. I went to file a complaint at the marshal's office, and I got the supervisor. So then I said to the supervisor, what's your name and badge number? And he said, I'm not going to give it to you.
Good.
I asked asked him, what's your name and badge number so I can file a complaint? And he said, I'm not going to give it to you. So then we have just the U.S. Marshals in America are just ghosts. They're just ghost police. Is that what they are?
Yep.
They don't have to have their name and badge number on. They don't have to follow the rule of law. Why is that? HR 7711 says that man has to have his name and badge number on.
Chille. There's no law that says they have to wear a name or badge. There's no law that says they have to ID to you just because you ask. HR 7711 is not a law. And I'm going to keep saying it until he finally gets it, which I'm going to end up in my grave at 100 years old yelling, HR 7711 is not a law.
On his jacket. Why isn't it there? You can't cross the street unless there's a green light, or you'll get a ticket and you could go to jail. 2001, Atwater versus City of Lago Vista. Absolutely anything is arrestable, any infraction of the law. If you break the law, the Supreme Court Justice who wrote it was named David Souter. In the 2001 case of Atwater versus City of Lago Vista, David Souter wrote that if you violate the law, even an infraction of the law, the cop can arrest you and it's not a violation of your Fourth Amendment.
You're absolutely correct, Chille. If you break the law, you will either go to jail or you'll be given a citation. However, unfortunately for you, there's no law for that they've broken. So you can keep foaming at the mouth all you want. It's not going to change the fact that HR 7711 is not a law.
All right. So David Souter wrote that in 2001. If you violate the law, even an infraction of the law, in front of a peace officer, he can arrest you, and it is not a violation of your Fourth Amendment right. You can be seized for jaywalking. You can be seized for running a stoplight. You can be seized for anything. But these guys don't have to follow the basic rule of law that says they have to have a badge and name on their shirt.
Because there's no law. Why are they following a law that's not a law? Once it becomes a law, then they'll have to follow it. But yeah, it's not a law. It's a dead bill.
What's the deal here? What's the deal?
What's the deal?
Is there a rule of law in our country or not? Either these guys have to follow the rule of law, there's no rule of law. Either we stand for rule of law or we fall. Is that simple?
Stand for rule of law. Stand for it and fight for it all day long. But make sure it's a law before you do it. So you don't look stupid like you look constantly.
Without the rule of law, we would fall to chaos. It would be horrifically bad. You would have...
Wait, isn't this the same idiot who claims it should be legal to drive while drunk or drive while under the influence of drugs? Isn't this the same idiot who says that all drugs, including fentanyl, should be legal? And his own channel name is Delete Laws. He's such a hypocrite and such a liar that even he forgets what lies he's already told. And tomorrow when he sobers up, he's going to forget the lies he told today.
Factious groups that sprouted up all over this country, and you, your family, your loved ones would not be safe. We have to follow the rule of law. Well, HR 7711 says that these guys have to follow the rule of law as well. So all you...
No, it doesn't.
Marshals in there who said you watch my videos, what the hell's the matter with you? We have the rule of law in this country. It's your job to uphold the rule of law.
They are upholding the rule of law. The problem is, if there's no law to uphold, then there's nothing for them to uphold. And if there's no law for them to follow, then they can't follow that law. Again, Chille, it's a dead bill. It's not a law. It was never passed. Never.
I'd stick my finger right in your chest like you were a 10-year-old boy and say, hey, you straighten up. I would. There is the rule of law.
Please, I want to see you do it. Please, go in there right now and poke them in the chest like they're 10-year-old little, like you're a 10-year-old little boy, and tell them they have to follow the law of HR 7711. because I want to see them laugh in your face before they arrest you for putting your hands on a U.S. Marshal over something that's not even a law. Please go do it. Please.
In this country, either we have a rule of law that the government has to follow. What are the 4 principles of the rule of law? First principle, that government and its agents are also accountable to the rule of law.
And they are.
That's
as long as
that's what this entire channel is about. The rule of law.
No. The whole thing that your channel is about is not about the rule of law. The only thing that your channel is about which laws you can break and get away with breaking. And then when you do get pulled over or you do have to be held accountable for you breaking the law, then you throw a man-child fit and you threaten to sue everybody, or you do sue them, but you lose the lawsuit because you're an idiot and you have no clue what you're talking about. And you don't want laws. You want drinking and driving to be legal. You want drinking while under the influence of drugs to be legal. You want all drugs, including fentanyl, to be legal. You don't want law. You have said that before. So you're just now admitting that you have no clue what your channel is actually about.
Rule of law. We all have to follow the rule of law.
Says... We all have to follow the rule of law. Says the one person who cannot seem to follow the rule of law. Ironic, huh?
It's unbelievable to me. You U.S. Marshals who said you watch my channel, are you not hearing this? There is a rule of law. Marbury...
Yeah, I seriously doubt that any of them said that they watch your channel. And if they do, then they're doing it for laugh value because they know you're an idiot. And every U.S. Marshal has a bad day. So to unwind, they need something to laugh at before they go home so that they're in a decent mood. What's the first thing they could do to laugh at? Watch a Chille video because they get to laugh at how stupid you are. Especially this video here. I hope they do see it. And I hope they're laughing their asses off at how dumb you are.
This is Madison, 1803, states that the Constitution is the rule of law. That is the founding documentation, the Supremacy Clause. Nothing goes above it, nothing goes before it. This is the foundation of law for Americans. Either that's real or it's not. Which is it? Either we live by a rule of law or we do not. Which is it? Which is it?
Well, I don't know, Chille. You tell me which is it, because you yourself think you're above the law, but then you throw a fit saying that U.S. Marshals are not following the law on something that's not a law. So, which is it, Chille? Because you won't follow the law. How do you expect other people to follow the law? You're not that special. You're special, just not in that kind of way. Like, you're special, but you're not that special. You need to calm down, first of all. You are literally standing out in public in front of a U.S. Marshals building, or a building with all these U.S. Marshals in it, yelling and screaming like a lunatic into your camera. Or, I'm sorry, you don't even have a camera. It's just your phone that you're yelling and screaming into. I really hope and pray that one day when you are doing this, they call a hospital to have you picked up and admitted. Because that is exactly where you need to be. I know I said before that you belong in prison. I honestly no longer believe that you belong to live in prison. I think you need to be locked up, just not in a prison. You need to be put in a mental hospital. You need to be where you can be completely monitored 24/7 and placed on medication that will help you be, I don't know, more normal, not even normal. I don't even believe in normalcy. I've always said if you're normal, you're boring. Like, nobody should be normal. Normal is a boring thing. But less unhinged, less psychotic. Like, you seriously need mental help, Chille. This video of yours is proving that 1,000,000%, that you need mental help and you need it fast. I'm talking you need it yesterday. You are going to hurt somebody, or you're going to get yourself hurt. And I don't think you even give a shit anymore, because you feel like if you get hurt, you're going to be some kind of martyr for the community, your community. Which, by the way, your specific community is very small. It's just who's ever on your channel. And let's not forget that 80% of his subscribers are not human. Okay? So, yes, his little community is very small. So, being a martyr for a community that will forget your name next week and where nobody else will remember your name after an hour? Come on. You are unhinged and you need help. I pray somebody close to you Baker acts you quickly, because that's what needs to happen to you.
Dying to know. I'm just dying to know. These guys got to live by rule of law or not. Because if they don't have to live by rule of law, they can form their own gang. They can, oh my God, it sounds like that's what's happening.
Oh, geez.
Without rule of law, these guys will turn tyrannical. It's that.
Chille, you still don't even know the definition of tyrant. So now you're going to try and claim that they're tyrants? You don't even know the definition of the word. Stop using words that you don't know the definitions for.
That's simple. The U.S. Marshal said you guys watch my channel. Do you hear me now? Do you hear me now?
And they're laughing.
Either we have a rule of law in this country or we don't. Which is it? Which is it? I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. I can't see any of the comments. They're all messed up anyway, as you guys know.
What the hell?
You guys make sure you have my trifold in your car. By the way, we got another, I think I have almost a couple $100 more going into Eric's fund today. So you guys swing by DeleteLaws.com, pick up your indestructible trifold.
Yes, this video is a lot longer than I wanted it to be, but there was so much information that had to be put into it. Look, I can just make a short video, okay, and say whatever I want out of it. Or I can make a video and I can give you the facts, back up what I'm saying, and show you what I'm seeing, and show you what I'm finding to fact check him and prove him wrong. I would rather do it that way and make a longer video than to just talk out my ass and not show where I'm getting my information. You know, like Chille. Anyways, I'll keep this short since the video itself is so long. I do apologize. Again, I apologize. But there was just a lot of information that needed to go into it, because there was a lot more lying from him than I've seen in a long time in one whole video. And then he's just yelling all unhinged and psychotic like, foaming at the mouth, all because he, in his mind, in his reality, which is not everybody else's reality, that the marshals are not following the law when there is no law stating they have to do what he says is law. So, yeah, there you have it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I do apologize again for it being so long. There was a lot of information. Anyways, I will see you in the next video. Take care. Be safe. I love each and every one of you.